So in today's video, I'm sharing how to manage expectations in adult friendships so that you don't get disappointed. Plus, this is the way to keep your relationships healthy. But if you're new, my name's Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships that work. The first expectation you need to manage is expecting the friendship to last forever. There are no signed contracts. This is one that I have been guilty of. I have wanted friendships to last forever, and it's pretty rare when you have a 30, 40, 50-year friendship. I have a couple, and I'm super grateful, but going into friendship expecting them to last forever is pretty unrealistic because people grow, people change. Often the values or activities that bring you together don't typically last over time. So if a friendship ends, it doesn't mean you've done anything bad or wrong. It just means that maybe they're not a good fit, or your values have changed, or you've outgrown them. I've heard that several times in my work, where when we're doing personal growth work, we tend to move past people who are not doing this work and want everything to stay the same. The next expectation in friendship I want you to manage is expecting people to be like you. So a lot of people assume we will get what we give, so we give a lot. But the problem is that some people don't do that. And in the beginning, it's really important to assess how somebody shows up in that friendship. So for instance, if you notice that they don't give a lot, or they expect you to take care of them, or lend them money, or they only call you when they want something, those are really toxic behaviors that I want you to identify early. Because expecting someone else to give what we give isn't realistic either, because everybody's at a different point. And if you're big-hearted and codependent like me, say me too in the comments, you might give a little too much in your friendship, and you might have the tendency to expect that same thing back. And even though I totally get it, I've been guilty of that too, it's not realistic and it's not fair, because often when we do that, we may be expecting too much out of our relationships, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. So the next expectation you need to manage is expecting the friendship to stay the same. Because let's face it, every relationship changes. And in any relationship, there's what's called a honeymoon period. A period where you're clicking, you're telling each other's stories, you're getting to know each other, it feels really exciting. But that's not a fair assessment of what the relationship will become. Because often people are on their best behavior at first. So those first couple of months, you might think, oh my God, this is the best friend I'm ever gonna have. I've done that so many times. I make a decision in the honeymoon period when I really don't know that person yet. So expecting that person or that friendship to stay the same as it was in the beginning isn't realistic, and it's actually gonna be even harmful for you, and I don't want that. Because only time is going to reveal somebody's true character. And if you're like me and you've noticed some toxic behaviors, you might have the tendency to give them the benefit of the doubt and say things like, oh, well, they're just going through a hard time, or this will change eventually. But if they are not treating you well, or they're gaslighting you, they're making you feel bad about yourself, they're asking too much of you, those are all behaviors you need to pay attention to, because those are not healthy friendship behaviors. The other thing I want to say about expecting the relationship to stay the same is I've had really long-term friendships, and at times we're just not that connected. And I didn't leave the friendship, I just practiced some healthy detachment. And I just practiced telling myself things like, you know what, we're not connected right now, we're going in different directions, but that doesn't mean I have to chuck the friendship entirely. And what I noticed when I did that is that eventually that relationship came back. So it's almost like accepting the fact that each relationship or friendship has a season. Sometimes you're going to feel close and connected, and other times you may not. And that doesn't necessarily mean the friendship isn't working. It just means that life is happening and you're not always going to be super close. That's okay. Another expectation I want you to learn how to manage is expecting yourself to stay in the friendship no matter what, because that's not fair. You know, if you're like me, you might have felt obligated to stay in a friendship, especially when there's a shared history. Maybe you have a 20-year friendship and you really don't want to end it. The problem is that that shared history is precious and it's not replaceable necessarily. But if that's the only thing that's left in the friendship, you need to reevaluate it. You need to consider better boundaries or detaching at least, especially if the relationship is toxic and they're not treating you well. Because if you're putting up with behaviors like they have no regard for your feelings or they're violating your boundaries, those behaviors are going to hurt you much more than they are the other person. And I don't want that for you. I also talk about this a lot in my Codependent Friendship Guide because sometimes we need to figure out how to let go and detach, and that's okay. So the next expectation I want you to manage is expecting too much from the friendship. This could be like maybe you want to text and call them a lot and you expect them to respond immediately. I've been guilty of this one too, where once I feel really connected to you, I want that connection to last. The problem is that that's when we become needy and we start putting all of our emotional eggs in one person's basket, which actually creates a codependent friendship where the other person starts to feel trapped and engulfed and they start to pull away from us, and that's super painful. Because let's face it, because when we expect too much from anyone, we're going to set up this dynamic where we're chasing them for it because we think our happiness lies in that other person, and it doesn't. And the more you can realize that, the more you're going to be able to have healthier friendships and not get so let down in your friendships. So the next expectation that you need to manage is expecting friendship to be easy. Because let's face it, if you want a long-lasting friendship, you're gonna have to deal with some hurt feelings at some point, or some resentment, or some value differences. And how to manage that is gonna be really key, because that's what always tells me if a relationship is a keeper. If I can navigate conflict with them and say that I've been hurt by something or something isn't right, and I can talk it out with them and they're receptive and they're willing to own their part, that will tell me that I have a pretty healthy friendship, which I get really excited about. Because not everybody is willing to do conflict in friendship. It's very painful. I know that for me it's been painful. I don't look forward to it. But I also know that it's a major turning point in my relationship. Because when I can say, ouch, that hurt me, and the other person is receptive, I know I have a keeper. But that also doesn't guarantee long-term friendship. Doesn't mean now they have a contract to stay with me forever, because there is no such thing. And that has probably been the biggest lesson I've learned in healthy friendship, is that it's okay to let someone go when the relationship is no longer working. Some friends are gonna last for a season, for a couple of years, some even longer, but most people aren't gonna stay for 50 years. And that's okay. That means I just have to adjust my expectations, and honestly that sets me up for not being as hurt, and that's what I want for you. So your next step is I want you to go watch my video on the pain of outgrowing friendship, because that's your next step. Thanks so much.